All right, thank you for your patience and being a good audience. An audience that doesn't talk. Okay. If we're going to graph and find the point of intersection to solve a system of equations, we need to graph both lines. The first one, I need to get y alone, so I know what my y-intercept is, which is 5. If the slope is 3, 1, I'd end up there, but that's not going to do me much good, so I'm going to go -3, -1, -3, -1, -3, -1, and there's my red line. Thanks. Let's try that again. All right. Oh, look, it fits just perfectly. How cool. Okay. And then we have our blue line. Start at -1 and we rise 1, run 1, but again, we need to go this direction so I can find that point of intersection, which appears to be right there. And whoop, there it is. And some of you lost a half a point because you named your ordered pair wrong. This is -3, -4. Some of you put -4, -3. That's not that one. Okay. Number 2 sets up beautifully for elimination. If I multiply by -1, I get -3x minus 8y equals -25. When I combine those, everybody's attention up here, please. I get -6y equals -30. Y equals 5. So my ordered pair is 5. What's my x? 3x plus 2 times 5 is -5. So 3x plus 10 equals -5. So 3x equals -15. So x is -5. Oops, +3. So x is -5. Okay? Number 3, it's already solved for x, so that would be perfect for substitution. So I'm going to substitute this in for x down here. -2 times 6y plus 6 plus 12y equals -12. And I get -12y plus 12 plus 12y. Oh, that's weird. A lot of 12s. And then I recognize that -12y plus 12y is 0, so I get 12 equals 12. And if I ever get two things that are equal, and there's no variable to solve for, I know it's infinite solutions. Thank you.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Number 4. I would say again, this sets up best for elimination. You can multiply the top by 7 and the bottom by 8, since you're. Well, we sure could. The reason I said 7 and 8 is one's positive, one's negative already, but we sure could do that. It is easier to multiply by 10, I'll agree with that. So we get -24x plus -30y equals -126. Okay, the bottom one, -70x plus 30y equals 220. So when I combine them, I get -94x equals 94. So x equals -1. If x is -1, what's y? -7 times -1 plus 3y equals 22. 7 plus 3y equals 22. 3y equals 15, y equals 5. Okay? Pretty straightforward so far, right? No curveballs. Okay? Number 5 sets up nicely for substitution. If I substitute this in for x down here, I get 6y equals 27 plus negative 7 plus 2y. So I get 6y equals 20 plus 2y. Subtract 2y. 4y equals 20. Y equals 5. If y is 5, x is negative 7 plus 2 times 5, which is negative 7 plus 10, or 3. So 3, 5. Like my bright new projector. You notice that?
Yeah.
Okay, I noticed it was a lot greener.
Yeah, I did know.
Yeah, I'm like,
Oh, you see mine like green?
No.
Yes.
New. This one, if I multiply the top by 3, I get 3y plus 18x equals 12. And this is funky. 0 plus 0.
equals 0.
If that was the case, it'd be infinite solutions, but it's not equal to 0, it's equals 3. So I get 0 equals 3, which is not true, and so that is no solution.
Yo, but we're first.
No.
Okay.
No, you already had a fairly bright projector compared to the other ones.
So much greener.
I don't know. It was just a pleasant surprise when I came back. Okay. Next one. I would say sets up nicely for elimination. You could have done either one on this. Negative 3x minus 6y equals 18. So I get 2y equals negative 2. Y equals negative 1. So what's x? Well, if x plus 2 times negative 1 is negative 6, then x plus negative 2 is negative 6. So add 2, x is negative 4. Okay. Again, pretty straightforward. Hopefully, if you didn't do so hot, you're going, oh, okay, that's silly, silly, silly. Okay. When I have word problems, the very first thing I need to do is define my variables after I read and understand. So I read it. A farmer's mixing a couple different concentrations of insecticides. He needs to know how much of each he's going to use. So if x equals the milliliters of 30% insecticide, okay, and y equals milliliters of 50% insecticide, I know that I'm going to have a total of 200 milliliters. Okay. And I know that I'm going to take my amount of 30% and multiply it by 0.30 to find out how much insecticide that really is. And I'm going to take my 50%, and then I'm going to take my 200 and multiply by my what percent I want it to be, and that's 0.42. That's the only thing that sometimes some of you forget, but by now you should be getting that. So then I simplify this equation to get this, and that is 84. Okay? I think it sets up nicely for substitution. So y equals 200 minus x. So 0.30x plus 0.50 times 200 minus x equals 84. 0.30x plus 100 minus 0.50x equals 84. So we get negative 0.20x plus 100 equals 84. Subtract 100, and we get negative 0.20x equals negative 16. Divide by negative 0.20, and we get x equals 80. 80 what? X is 80.
Milliliters.
So there's 80 milliliters of this, and that means there is 120 of this. What does it ask for? How much of each solution? So 80 milliliters of 30%, and 120 milliliters of 50%. Okay. All right. Number 9. So first of all, we had to figure out what the miles per hour were in each situation. So if I go to my calculator, distance equals rate times time. So if I take my distance and divide by the time, it's going to give me my rate, which is 160. So this one was 160 miles per hour. The other one was 280. I can do that in my head. Okay? So if A is the airspeed, which is pretty standard in this problem, W is wind speed. So again, I tried to give you a pretty simple one. The only mistake I think I saw people here is when they added the wind, they went slower. When you add the wind is pushing you to go faster. So that's the mistake I saw people make on this. So when you're going with the wind, you're going 280 miles per hour. When you're going against the wind, you're going 160. And then this is simple from here on out, right? It's just simple elimination. 2A equals 540, or 440. A equals 220. But it doesn't ask for how fast the airspeed is. It asks you for the speed of the wind. And 220 plus what is 280? 60. So that's the speed of the wind, 60 miles per hour. If you have it pushing you, you go 280. If it's going against you, you go 160. All right, the bonus. If I substitute this in here for x, I get 9y equals 4 times 3y plus 6 minus 9. A lot of you got the bonus right. 9y equals 12y plus 24 minus 9. So 9y equals 12y plus 15. Subtract 12y, and I get negative 3y equals 15. So y equals negative 5. If y is negative 5, what's x? X equals 3 times negative 5 plus 6, which is negative 15 plus 6, negative 9. Well, z is x minus 10y. So negative 9 minus 10 times negative 5, which is negative 9 plus 50, which is 41. If you got one of them right, you got 3 extra credit points. You got 2 right, you got 7. Or percent, I should say. And the last one. So if x is the number of pairs of shoes, and y is your income or cost, how much is it? How much are you spending on these shoes? $250 plus $30 a pair. How much are you making on the shoes? $55 a pair. Okay, so we're just going to graph those two. I gave you the intervals to use. So we went 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and this is pairs of shoes, pairs of Converse. And then on the y-axis, we went cost, and we went up by $50 or 100 every 2. Okay, and then we just had to graph them both. So the first one, we're going to start at 250, and it's going to go up $30 every time. What's it going to be at 10? At 10, it's going to be 250 plus 300, which is 550. I don't have to do a bunch in between if I don't need to. Plus, if you did substitution, you would have realized that that is the break-even point. Okay? So the other one is, what's 55 times 10? 550. What's that one start at? 0. Good. Okay? So when do you make up all your costs? When you compare to shoes. So then I said in the directions explicitly, label your point. It's 10, 550. What does that mean? 10 pairs, $550. Thank you for being, for the most part, good audience.